Welcome to episode 4, folks. We're going to start off this one by just talking a little bit about the RF can that I changed the mica capacitor in. In the last video, if you recall, we had that Cornell Dublin. I said it right. A few people corrected me, and that's a French word, so that's the right way to say it. Cornell Dublin. And we had that mica domino cap in there that was 2130 picofarads, which comes down to effectively 2.2 nanofarads. And you remember I put in a yellow film cap, and if you look down in here, you could probably see it. It's right down there. And a couple of viewers noticed that that's not right, especially Doug Moslak said, "Hey, I'm pretty sure you got to replace that with a mica cap." So the question I had was, well, why? Right? Why does it have to be a mica cap? And it's all about precision. As you know, components heat up as you use the devices, and a film cap or a poly cap, which is what I had in there, will likely tend to drift a little bit as it heats up. Now, I haven't proven this, and one of these days I'll see if I can come up with an experiment to show that. But in an RF can, especially one that you have to tune, it's pretty critical that your capacitance is constant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace that with a mica cap and or a ceramic disc cap. It's really the same thing. I have the cap here, and I'm going to replace it. I have to just look through my stash, but we're going to replace it. But I want to show you. Here's the schematic for the radio. Okay, and we're looking at this coil right here. This is the antenna, and here's the coil. And you'll see this is the capacitor we're talking about right here. There's no value listed for the capacitor. Let's get you close in there so you can see it. They don't list it. They don't list the value, which is fine. We figured out what it is. But that's the one we're talking about here. And we're going to replace it with a let's just say a 2200 pico cap, mica, silver mica. Okay? So we'll open up this can again, and we'll put it in there, and we'll be in good shape. So that's number one. The first thing I wanted to correct, and I again wanted to thank Doug and everybody else that mentioned it. That you really just can't just throw any old cap in there. Makes a lot of sense, actually. So just want to say thanks for that. And then second thing I'll add before I jump in is I'm going to start using this iPad that I have here. It's a spare iPad. And I'm going to start using it for my schematics so I can A, show it to you, what I'm doing, and B, have it close. It's right here. I can zoom in. I can see exactly what's going on. And, if I need to look a little closer, I can do that, and I don't have to worry about fumbling for papers and stuff. So that's going to be an addition to what I do from now on. Okay, let's jump in here. So what you're going to find is that we've got... when we come back in the next shot, all the 3 IF cans will be mounted, and we're then going to mount the tuning cap, and we're going to see what we can do next. Maybe an initial power-up test. We'll see. All right, so if this interests you, stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, just a fast update where we are. We've got our tuning cap installed. It's all been wired correctly. And you may be able to see down here, if I zoom in a little bit, there's a braided ground strap here. So what I did was I used a piece of this solder wick to recreate that, and that's what I used. So that was good. And you'll see I've got 2 cans in, and I have a third one that needs to be done yet. I need to replace that mic cap in there. So I'll be doing that, and then that third can will be going on. I've also rewired the tone pot right here. All the wires were bad on that, and we're in good shape. So it's really just a question of doing a little bit more cleaning right here, getting the other can installed, getting a power cord in there, and then we'll be able to do a test. So we're getting close, guys. All right, so we'll come back when there's more progress. Okay, I want to give you an update here. This is a Philco, so obviously it has one of those Philco bakelite blocks in there, which has a pair of capacitors in it. And one thing I noticed about this radio is it only has one of those bakelite blocks. Most of the older Philcos had loads of them. And it makes you wonder, like, why did they continue to use the bakelite block in this radio? when they really got away from that in 1941. And the only thing I could come up with is, maybe they had a surplus of these things. They made so many of them during the production years in the 30s that they just decided to use it. So basically, what we're looking at here is the Bakelite block. And what you have in here is a pair of .01 caps that go to ground, right? And this is this is basically your AC isolation section. So what we've done is we've actually put in a pair of safety caps. So we've not replaced them with .01s. You'll see they go right to the chassis ground. That's not a good thing. So we put in a pair of safety caps. They're inside the Bakelite block, which I'll show you in a second, and it makes the radio much safer. So if the caps fail, they fail open, and you don't get shocked. Right? It's essentially what happens. So that's the update on where we are. And let me show you the block, and then we're going to close the video out doing a kind of a pre alignment of our IF can. I didn't get the 2200 picofarad mica cap here yet. It'll be here tomorrow, so I'm not going to hold the video up just for that. But I'll show you how we measure the can and how we adjust it and make sure it's in good shape. So let me do that. We'll set it up. And here's the Bakelite block that I'm talking about. You can't see the safety caps in there, obviously, because they're inside the can. But this is what it looks like. One of these. Okay? So we have a new power cord here. We've got our connections. We have the hot side going through the switch, which is always what you want, through the power switch. We have our ground. We have a 3-prong cord. And this is our neutral side right here. We're good to go. Let's test that can out. Okay, here's our can. We have a signal generator connected to it at 455 kilocycles. Let me adjust that a little bit. And the way we connect it is there's obviously 2 coils in this thing. So we're going to do the coil first that are blue and green on this particular can. So what we do is we hook the positive end up of the signal generator to the blue and the ground lug to just to the can itself. On this side, we put our oscilloscope on the green. So it's actually going through the coil, and we have the ground of the oscilloscope going through the can. Now what you're going for here is maximum amplitude. Okay? When we have to adjust it, there is a screw on top, right here on the bottom, that we're going to turn. But I'm going to let you look at the scope. So right now, let's get you focused on the scope. All right, so there's our signal. It's nice and clean. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn the screw until that signal gets peaked. See right there? There's the peak and it drops. Right there's the peak. Right? And again, you don't want to use a metal tool to do the adjustment. You want to use a plastic tool like this. So really, this thing is now logically aligned to maximum amplitude of 455 kilocycles. Of course, when you put it in the radio, it's going to drift. But at least you know that you're somewhere in the ballpark. Okay, so it's really simple. Now we're going to switch the wires to the other side. So this is the red and the white side of the can. Now let's see what we got going on there. Okay, now the red and white side of the can. Okay, so we've got a really clean signal here. We're going to check it anyway. If we can find the screw slot. There it is. That thing is good right where it is. So we know that this can is ready to put back in the radio. And we're going to check the other side one more time because, there's only one screw on this thing. Let's bring our scale down a little bit. Hold on there. Change the scale again. Now after I put that new cap in there, I'm going to have to do this again. But see how if you turn the screw one way it drops, turn it the other way it drops? Right in the center. That's where we want it. Okay? That's really all you got to do. And then when you put it in the radio, you're not going to be too far off. At least you're not going to have to go hunting and pecking looking for it. So that's the story, guys. we will come back in the next episode with this can, which I will come down here, with this can installed in the radio, and we are going to do our first power up. First thing I have to do is I have to get this push button switch installed in the radio because that's where the power comes from. So I have to install the bracket that holds it in. I've got to de-rust that and clean it, and you'll see that in the next episode. It'll all be connected to the chassis. So that's where we are, guys. Hope everybody's well, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.